What if Bluey's mum wasn't always the calm, wise parent we know today? What if she was once just a baby herself? Season 4 has already teased us with Chili's past, but imagine if it went back even further, to the very beginning. A Baby Chilli episode could show us her first toy, her first laugh, even the very first words whispered to her at bedtime. Moments that would change how we see every hug, every lesson, and every memory she shares with Bluey and Bingo, the very first toy. Every baby has a first toy. Some have teddy bears, others a rattle. But what if Chili's first toy was something different? Something that told us who she was destined to be? In fairy tale, we saw her as a warrior princess, carrying a wooden sword. But maybe that sword's story began much earlier. Picture baby Chilli crawling across the floor, ears too floppy for her little head, eyes wide with determination. She sees a tiny wooden sword lying just out of reach. Her paws fumble, she drops it once, but she tries again, until finally, with a little squeaky giggle, she lifts it high above her head. In that small moment, you can already see the spark of the warrior. Even before she could talk, before she could walk, Chilli was already showing the spirit of the strong, brave mum she would one day become. A mother's voice. We all remember Chili's most powerful line, "I'll always be with you, even if you can't see me." But what if those words didn't start with her? What if long before she became a mum, she heard them whispered to her? As a baby, imagine little Chilli tucked into bed, her mother leaning close, brushing her fur, whispering the same promise. That voice would stay with her for life. So when she repeats it to Bluey and Bingo, it isn't just comfort, it's a memory. A promise passed from her mum to her, and now to her daughters, a thread connecting 3 generations of mothers and children. Baby magic. Of course, not every Baby Chilli moment would be emotional. She had to be cheeky too. Imagine Brandy, the older sister, showing off pretend magic, and little Chilli watching closely, then waving her paw to copy it. Her first real giggle might have come from a spell that didn't even exist. And just like Bluey and Bingo in Magic Xylophone or Feather Wand, Chilli learned that the #1 rule in her family was simple: magic is real. End of story. But Baby Chilli didn't just use it for fun, she used it for pranks, freezing her dad mid-shave, cream running down his chin, locking Brandy out of the shower, or magically making her mum scoop extra ice cream at dessert. Mischievous? Absolutely. But that spark of play would one day become the very heart of how she raised Bluey and Bingo. Baby Chilli and friends. Every Bluey fan knows Frisky and Trixie, but what if their story with Chilli started much earlier than we think? Imagine the day Frisky first moved into the neighborhood. She wasn't the cheerful godmother we know today. She was nervous, upset, wishing she could leave again. And then she met a little pup named Chilli. At first, just a baby crawling around the yard. But slowly, she became the reason Frisky felt at home. Trixie was there too, grumpy as ever, already looking like the girl who'd one day raise Muffin. The 3 of them together, shy, bold, and playful, built a friendship that would last for life. It's easy to forget, but sometimes the strongest bonds start with the smallest moments. Even meeting a baby can change the course of a lifetime. From baby to mum. We've already seen Baby Race, the story of Bluey learning to walk. But imagine the reverse. Baby Chilli wobbling on her tiny paws, her mother kneeling down, arms open wide. Her first step isn't steady, she stumbles, she nearly falls, but she keeps trying, until finally, she makes it into her mother's arms. That small moment isn't just about learning to walk. It's the beginning of a journey that every parent knows, because one day, that same baby will become the mum. And just like her own mother, she'll be there on the floor, cheering as her daughters take their very first steps. It's a reminder for all of us. We were once the baby, learning how to stand, and someday we may be the ones guiding someone else. Baby adventures. Chilli's childhood wasn't just inside the house. She grew up surrounded by nature, forests, fields, and the lake near Grandpa Mort's home. In Grandad, we see her swimming like a pro, but maybe that love for the water began when she was just a pup. Picture baby Chilli splashing in the shallows, giggling every time the water rippled back at her, or crawling through the tall grass, chasing after butterflies with floppy ears bouncing. It's easy to imagine that her quiet love for the outdoors started here, in these simple moments of play, moments that shaped the mum who would later teach Bluey and Bingo to love the world around them. Romance foreshadow. One day, this tiny pup would grow up and meet a funny blue dog on the other side of the world. At first, she won't be sure what to think of him, and he won't believe his luck. But the truth is, their story began long before London, because even as a baby, Chili was already the brave, curious spirit that Bandit would one day fall in love with. Field hockey legacy. There's a gold trophy in the Healer garage. Proof that Chili didn't just play, she won. Imagine baby Chili crawling across the porch, pushing a little ball with a toy stick. It might have looked silly at the time, but it was the very first step toward a championship. Years later, Bingo picks up that same passion. And just like her mum, she might one day become a champion too. Because some legacies are passed down long before we realize it. Comedy relief. But let's be honest, not every baby Chili moment would be magical. She probably chewed Bandit's shoelaces until they snapped, or crawled outside, covered herself in dirt, and acted proud of it. And let's not forget the endless crying fits, the kind that last 20 minutes straight. Even the wisest mums start out exactly the same way, messy, noisy, and a little bit cheeky. And that's exactly why a Baby Chili episode would feel so real. Bedtime whisper climax. And then, the quietest moment of all. Baby Chili lying in her crib, drifting towards sleep. Her mum bending close, brushing her fur, whispering softly, "I'll always be with you, even if you can't see me." That voice stayed with her forever. So when Chili repeats those words to Bluey and Bingo, it isn't just comfort. It's a promise passed down through time, from mother to daughter, and now to another generation. Work-life wink. And here's the funny thing. One day, that same baby who giggled with a toy sword, who splashed in the lake, who whispered promises to her own daughters, would also find herself wishing she could freeze her boss at the airport. In the very first episode, Magic Xylophone, Chili laughs about freezing her boss. And honestly, who wouldn't? Because even the strongest mums, the wisest mums, the funniest mums, still need 20 minutes to themselves. That's what makes Chili so real. And that's why seeing her as a baby would be so powerful. And maybe that's the best part of imagining a Baby Chili episode. Not just the giggles or the pranks or even her first toy, but the reminder that every mum, even Bluey's, once started the same way. Tiny, clumsy, full of possibility. If you'd love to see that story told, drop a bottle in the comments. Because even though we know her today as Bluey and Bingo's wise, caring mum, she was once just a little pup with her whole life ahead of her. And who knows? The next untold Bluey story might take us even further.